Hello and welcome to The Nice Knit. My name is Laramie and today we are going to talk about what I am currently working on and one particular project in which I hope to cast on soon. Today I want to introduce a few more projects that I have casted onto recently, but I want to start by giving an update on the projects that you have already kind of been following along if you have been following along the YouTube channel and the podcast episode. So, starting with this sweater. So this is my gray sweater. I casted onto this a few weeks ago. This is one of my goal knits this year. And I haven't got a whole lot farther, but I have gotten a little bit farther since the last podcast episode. So I am getting pretty close to not done with the yoke of the sweater, but done with the yoke of the sweater that all sizes knit together, and I'm about ready to split start knitting specifically the size of medium part of the yoke coming up pretty soon. But this is what it looks like if it'll focus up close. I am kind of in love with this fabric. It is super soft. I am knitting it with the Eddie Bauer Blue Spruce, and this is Eddie Bauer Woolpaca in the Blue Spruce color. And then I'm also knitting it with Surrey Stratus, and this is all I have left. And this is the mint, Surrey Stratus mint color. And so not a whole lot to update you here. I've gotten a bit farther, but I am still just chugging away on the yoke. I'm pretty excited to split for the sleeves. I think I'm going to do the thing where I split for the sleeves, knit for an inch or so, and then I'm going to actually just knit the sleeves so that I make sure that I have everything, all the yarn that I need to do the sleeves. And I also don't know how short or long I want the body, so I think I want to start with the sleeves and then go back and finish up the body once I'm done with both sleeves. So yeah, this is just a quick update on the gray sweater. Not a whole lot of progress, maybe a few more inches, but starting to look more and more like a sweater. So excited about that. The next thing I want to tell you about are my February socks. Now we are coming up to the end of February, and I have honestly not made a ton of progress on these. But I am just slowly and steadily chugging along. I don't know that I'll have these done by the end of February, but I'm going to have a good chunk of them done by the end of February. It is currently, I believe, February 18th or 19th as I'm filming this. So I've got about 10-ish days left, and if these will focus. So this is my February socks. I'm knitting them 2 at a time on separate needles. This is Peyton's Croy sock yarn in the colorway Mid-Century Stripes. And if you've watched any of my videos, you know that I've tried really hard to make sure that these 2 skeins of yarn matched up so that my pattern, like my colorway pattern, would match. And so I'm pretty excited because that's looking pretty matchy-matchy. So pretty pumped about that. But that's, got a couple inches. The pattern recommends you do like 6-ish inches of the leg. And I'm not sure, I'll have to recheck the pattern. I'm not sure if that's 6 inches with the ribbing up here, the cuff, or if it's just 6 inches from where you just split and start doing stockinette stitch. But I think I'm just gonna knit it until I feel like it's long enough for a sock for me, and then start doing the heel. I'm really excited to try the short row heel, but also kind of nervous because I've never knitted a short row heel before. I've only knitted a heel flap and gusset. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes, but I'm sure it's gonna be great. And I love self-striping sock yarn because it's so motivating. Like every time I do a color, I'm excited to get to the next color. And so even when I'm knitting like just stockinette stitch around and round and round for several inches, there's like that like color break that, I don't know, it gets me really excited every time I get to switch to a new color. So sock hack, if you're struggling through like the foot or the leg of the sock, maybe try self-striping sock yarn, because then it gives you like little mini wins along the way every time you get to switch to a new color. So those are the 2 things that you kind of have already heard about or known about if you are following along on the podcast. And then these I have been working on. I casted these on before the new year, but I am just trying to finish up a pair of Fire Pit mitts. This is the pattern by Taylor Earl, for my I suppose she's my boss. She's the director where I work, or the assistant director where I work. But her hands are always cold, and so I am in the process of knitting her a pair of fire pit mitts. And I've got, this is an absolute disaster because I'm using really long cables here. But I've got this one, I just have another inch or so of like this part of the glove left. And then in this one, I need to actually take off the stitches for the thumb. I think you can see it better on this side. So the thumb is right here, and then knit several inches up. So got some work to do, and then I need to knit the thumb. I have some of these that are already ready for the thumb part, but I really liked the idea of knitting her pink ones. So even though I could have just like finished a thumb on the others and given her one of those, I wanted to knit her in this particular color. And again, this is Eddie Bauer Woolpaca, and this is in the color pale pink. So, you know, I am nothing but consistent when it comes to the yarn choices that I use. I have a lot of this. The next project that I want to show you is the project I wanted to talk about the most, and that is this hat. So this is the Campgrounds hat by Taylor Earl. I really wanted to try mosaic knitting, and she came out with this mosaic knitting hat pattern a few months ago, and I purchased it when she came out with it because I knew I wanted to try mosaic knitting, but then I just like hung on to it because I wasn't ready yet. So I am knitting this hat, and look at that. This is my first attempt at mosaic knitting, and I definitely think there's room for improvement because some of my like when I'm slipping from one needle to the other, I'm kind of stretching it out, and so there's some like inconsistencies or irregularities throughout, but overall, like, I am super thrilled with the way this turned out. Now, it looks a little uneven, like this over here I'm noticing is taller than over here. That's because I blocked it and I didn't take a lot of care in making sure everything was very balanced when I blocked it. And that is because I was trying to see if I could get it on my head blocked. So a couple of modifications that I have made or am going to make to this pattern. One, I live in Nebraska. Right now, the high today I think is supposed to be like -1. And so a single layer hat is not going to be warm enough for me. And I want this to be like a warm hat that I can wear out to the horse barn or to work and not freeze my little ears off. So I decided that I wanted to knit this double. And so that's why, so this, technically the Campgrounds hat is just this right here, but I have started to knit backwards. So I'm going to knit all of this pattern in the opposite colorway down and then flip it inside out. So like flip the light color inside of the dark color so that I then have a double layer mosaic hat that was technically reversible. However, I've run into a slight problem with I think it's yarn choice or how tight that I knit. I used the needle size in the pattern, but I think I knit maybe tighter when I have small needles, because now that I have knit 1.5 inches of this 1x1 rib down here, I can't get this on my head, especially when I started knitting the 1.5 inch ribbing on this side. I can't get it on my head, which means when I fold it inside out, there is no way I'm going to be able to get that on my head. And so what I'm going to do is I am going to rip all of this back, and then I am going to knit this ribbing again in this needle size. So I believe it was a 2.75 millimeter needle that she recommends for the ribbing. And then this part, or like this part up here, because this is a little bigger size, but this size right here, I believe is a 7 millimeter, or excuse me, a 4.5 millimeter, size 7 for here. So I am going to knit this ribbing in a 4.5 millimeter or a size 7 instead of knitting it in the small. So I'm going to rip back, redo the ribbing, and then continue and see if that fits on my head. And then when I block it the second time, I will be more careful to make sure that like my pattern height on this side matches my pattern height on this side. But I'm really excited to see, you know, first of all, if this works. I feel like I successfully did mosaic knitting. I'm pretty freaking pumped about how that turned out. I think it looks super cool. And then something that I think is going to look really nice once I rip back and fix it is I have added a purl bump here. So this right here is where you would usually cast off. I have added a purl bump so that when I fold this over this way, it is going to have a cleaner, less bulky edge. And I'm really excited about that. I got that trick off of a headband pattern. But I'm excited. I'm a little bummed that I have to rip back. I always get just a little bit nervous when I have to rip stitches back, but I think it'll obviously be worth it, because as of right now, this hat is not wearable. Even if I were to rip this back and just bind off, this right here is way too tight. This is loose, this is way too tight. So I think if I just rip back, knit that ribbing with the 4.5 millimeter needles, and then continue on, I think it's gonna be perfect, and it's gonna be the right size once I double it up with both the inside, this side and this side together. I am knitting this with Lion Brand's Fisherman's wool. I always forget the S on that. This is the colorway Brown Heather, and then this, which is what I'm currently casted onto, is the colorway Oatmeal. And I really like both of these colors together, so I'm excited to rip back and get this done, because I actually really wanted this hat done by the time we hit sub-zero temps in Nebraska, but you know, it doesn't always work out that way. So that is what I am mostly working on right now. I have been working on my socks at work when I need a break, or if I'm in a meeting. I've been working on my sweater just a little bit, but I've mostly been working on this. Of course, I had to take a break to block it to see if it would stretch enough to fit on my head, which it does not. So there's that. And then finally, for things I would like to pick up in the very near future. I don't have any completed projects as of right now, but the things I would like to pick up in the very near future, I have this Eddie Bauer Woolpaca. I feel like at this point in time, nobody's shocked. In the colorway Carbon, so it's just black. And it is another DK weight yarn. It's the same yarn that I've been using for pretty much everything. And then I picked up Surrey Stratus in a black colorway. And this is the same combination that I'm using to make my gray sweater, but I want to make either a t-shirt or a turtleneck, sweater vest tank top thing, so that I have a nice black something to wear to work. I'm currently leaning towards some kind of t-shirt, but I know that I want it to be in this combination just because I am enjoying it so much in the gray sweater that I think doing it in a next to skin, either a t-shirt or a something like this would be really nice. And it would just be solid black, and the idea is that I would wear it to work. But I don't have a pattern picked out. Taylor Earl has a little black tee pattern, but I've seen some other t-shirt patterns that I think I would like a little bit better when looking specifically at something that I want to wear to work, as a professional garment. But I really like her, the look of her little black tee. But I think what I'm gonna do is I don't think I'm gonna purchase that one. I think I'm gonna wait until she comes out with her little stripey tee, or I think she's thinking about releasing that pattern. And I like the way she did the sleeves on that better, because the sleeves are just a little bit longer, where her little black tee, the sleeves are just cap sleeve. But we'll see. I haven't looked into that yet. I kind of want to finish my February socks and finish this hat before I allow myself to cast on to this black t-shirt or tank top. And then I also would really like to knit a couple other sweater vests, but again, I'm just telling myself to chill and get some of this stuff done, and then start switching into that more springy knitting mode where I start knitting t-shirts and tank tops. But that's all I had for you today. I just wanted to do a quick video. If you have any suggestions for future videos, please let me know. Let me know what you are currently working on, anything you're super proud of. Have you had to rip back a hat? Do you got any tips for ripping back without, giving yourself a heart attack? Let me know. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video, and you take care. And if you are anywhere where it's cold, stay warm. Bye. Current work in progresses? Nope. Hello and welcome. Hello and welcome. Nope. Hello and welcome to the Nice Knit. Today we are going to talk about, I can do this. You can do this.